The Failure of Failure, an article reflection by yours truly, Miss Mackenzie. In his 2007 article entitled The Failure of Failure, Ben Levin addresses several problems surrounding the practice of failing students and holding them back a grade. He argues that failure doesn't bring about more effort from students, rather it decreases effort. People reduce their effort and shift their attention to areas in which they can achieve success. Despite strong evidence proving failure and retention to be ineffective, Levin wonders why schools continue to retain and fail students. Perhaps the answer is related to society's historical practices. Levin says many things simply have to be routine or done out of habit, but that does not mean the old way is the right way. The belief that punishment will improve behavior runs deep in many societies, in the social welfare, and in the criminal justice systems. As a student, during my pre-post-secondary years, failing was always a fear of mine, partly because of my mother's discipline and high expectations for me, and partly because I knew of the stigma often associated with being a failure. Society tends to equate passing a grade to winning, which is often equated to success, while failure is equated to losing. Everyone wants to be the winner, no one wants to be the loser. But as a society, we've succeeded in making people believe that failing or losing is pitiful, shameful, and provides no opportunities for recovery from this state. As a student, I thought that if I were to ever fail a class or a grade, my world would come to an end. All I knew was that if I were to repeat a grade or a course, people would look at me negatively and I'd feel inadequate. Now I know I wasn't the only student who felt this way. A lot of my friends were afraid of failing in school too. And in the event that a student did fail, what was going to be done to ensure that he or she received the help needed to avoid a recurrence of failure? Aside from the stigma and summer school, the other options weren't apparent. I had no idea how discouraging it could be to fail a course until it happened to me in undergrad. I was so disappointed. I tried very hard, yet still I fell short. As a result of the failing grade, I felt very embarrassed and kept it from my family and closest friends. I feared having to stay back a year to retake the course and not being able to graduate with my friends. Although I made it over this obstacle, I really wished the professor had been keen on helping me out. The help I needed just wasn't there. And that's exactly what students today who are at risk need: help. Now it's disheartening to think that some students fail for reasons that are not caused by them. For example, students may fall short of academic success due to language barriers, difficulty with learning English as a second language, for example, or other special needs and exceptionalities that have not been identified or accommodated, or lack of support academically and early intervention. But on the other hand, there are some students who are responsible for their failure to succeed and require some sort of a wake-up call to get them back on the right track. After all, students do need to be accountable for their education as well. Success isn't just handed out. It is earned through perseverance, hard work, and doing your best. So although there are times at which failing a student may be necessary, this should not be the first resort. It should be considered only after all other possibilities have been attempted and ineffective. Now, this isn't the silver bullet solution to the problem at hand, but early intervention is a good place to start. As I continue my teaching career, I will make every effort to set up support systems to help my students who are at risk academically. I'll get in touch with their parents and constantly keep them up to date on students' progress, as well as offer some resources such as tutoring services within the community. I'll also speak to school staff teachers, guidance counselors, even administrators about arranging academic help sessions and tutoring programs during lunch and after school, as well as provide opportunities for these students to showcase their strongest skills, build on those that are not as strong, and use them to achieve success in the classroom. Additionally, for students who fail in school, I will work to provide some sort of recovery or remedial support programs, just like the credit recovery program in high schools, to avoid a repeat of failure, as well as build their self-esteem to overcome any stigma they may encounter. As for the students who, after all of the help and support have been provided, refuse to take accountability for their learning, I don't think I'd have much choice than to wait patiently for the reality check of life to make them realize the importance of receiving an education. After all, as the saying goes, you can lead a deer to water, but you can't make it drink. This concludes my presentation, but before I go, I'd like to give special thanks to Mr. Ben Levin for his thought-provoking article, The Failure of Failure, Google Images, Microsoft PowerPoint, which I used to put together my presentation, Camtasia Studio, and last but not least, you, the viewers, for taking the time to listen to and watch my presentation. Thank you.